When I was a junior in high school, I went to Torrey Pines High School in San Diego, California, and about 20 minutes down the road is Poway High School, a high school where a girl named Chelsea King was a senior, and she was running one evening when she disappeared. We found out later that she had been kidnapped, raped, and murdered by a repeat offender who was out on parole named John Albert Gardner III. This really hit home because it was about 20 minutes down the road, and she was about my age. That seemed like it could happen to anyone, but her story was similar to the story of Polly Kloss, a girl who was kidnapped, raped, and murdered by a repeat offender out on parole named Richard Allen Davis. The outrage from the Richard Allen Davis case essentially put the three strikes law into effect because everybody in California wanted to be harsher on repeat offenders. So the audience needs to listen to my speech because I'm going to talk about the economics of Proposition 36, which is intended to reform the three strikes law. First, I'll talk about the economics of Prop 36 and how it causes trials. Second, I'll talk about the economics I'll talk about how the death penalty, the three strikes law causes the costs of the three strike trials housing the three strikers. And third, I'll talk about the economic and social costs of overcrowding in prisons due to the three strikes law. First, let's start with the economics of the three strikes law and how it causes trials. So, the three strikes law, usually 90% of all three strikes, 90% of all felony trials are solved by plea bargaining, meaning that the person accused of the crime will plead guilty to the crime, and they will, in exchange for a lighter sentence, so the case won't have to go to trial. But since if you're up for your third strike, you'll get a mandatory minimum of 25 years to life, then not many people will want a life sentence. So only 6% of people in their third strike, in trial for the third strike, plead guilty to or plea bargain. So the average cost of maintaining a California Supreme Criminal Court is $9,000 a day, over $9,000 a day. So, and the average length of a trial is 2 weeks. So if you can imagine, 2 week trials times $9,000 a day times now only 6% of trials being plea bargained instead of 90%. That is a heavy burden for California taxpayers to bear. Now that we've talked about the economics of three strikes law and how it causes trials, let's talk about the economics how the three strikes law affects housing or the cost of housing three strikers. So the average cost of housing an inmate in California is $21,740 a year, and the average prison sentence is about 22 months. So you can see how life sentences would be a lot more. And so people who are on life sentences have a life sentence for $21,740 a year is a lot of money. And if the Proposition 36 is passed like it was, 3,000 of the 8,000 three strikers would be eligible for parole, or eligible to petition for parole. So they could either be out on the streets, or they would be out on the streets relatively soon, or they could be transferred to lower level jails like city or county jails. Now that we've talked about the costs of housing three strikers, let's talk about the social and economic costs of overcrowding in prisons. As you can see, overcrowding. But overcrowding in prisons has caused extreme danger to prison inmates and to prison guards. So in May of 2011, the Supreme Court ruled that California prisons must be reduced, prison population must be reduced by at least 30,000 inmates. So that would mean they'd be out in the streets. But prison overcrowding, it was ruled unconstitutional by this many inmates, was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court because prisoners were not getting appropriate physical and mental health care due to the overcrowding in prisons. The overcrowding in prisons, expensive construction projects. Since there's overcrowding in prisons, we wanted to lower the burden of state prisons. So we were going to shift prisoners to transfer prisoners to state or county prisons, and we're planning on giving judges more leeway in who they sentence to life sentences and what the sentences should be. So that's why Prop 36 is aiming to is attempting to reduce prison overcrowding. Now that we've talked about that, let's conclude. Today I have told you about the economics of Proposition 36. I've told you about the economic costs of the three strikes law and how it causes trials. I've told you about the cost of housing prison of three strikers. I've told you about the economic and social costs of overcrowding in prisons. So the Prop 36 it didn't help save Chelsea King Maipier, even though the three strikes law was already in effect when she was kidnapped and murdered. But it is supposed to help fix the economics of of the three strikes law. Thank you.